get into sleep now. This is probably one of the biggest ones in health, and what I believe will change 99% of people's problems, all right? Because we are all massively sleep deprived, okay? The world is, bar a few individuals, we just neglect sleep, and that's just a fact based on the way that the world's changed, right? Everything's very digital, we're on our phones, we're working a lot more, we're trying to earn more money, like there's a lot more things going on in our lives than there was, 100 years ago, right? So sleep is less of a priority now, where we tend to do a lot of other activities instead. Okay, so we really want to try and nut out what sleep actually gives us. What are the sort of issues that we run into with sleep? And the sort of impact that it can have on our health, all right, and our life. I think that's what's most important. All right, so let's get stuck in. Make sure you've got your water, you've got, maybe some coffee, maybe some food, you're fueled, you're ready to go, you got your notepad. This is a big one. Let's get stuck in. All right, so good on Matthew Walker, absolute legend, sleep expert from London. Sleep is not a disposable luxury. It's a non-negotiable biological necessity. I love that one. All right, it's a necessity. Okay, we can't just trade it off for other stuff and go, I'll just sacrifice 2 hours of sleep to do this. Okay, if you want to optimize your health, if you want to feel really good about yourself, if you want to be bang on, right? If you want to achieve what you want to achieve, you have to have sleep. Okay, so sleep is our daily restoration. It's something we cannot live without. Okay, we can't live without sleep. We will die. All right, we will start hallucinating. A lot of issues will happen. All right, we sleep to repair, grow, restore. We sleep to restore mentally and emotionally. Okay, physically. We tend to sleep more. You also use sleep to store memories, integrate learnings. All right, so there's a lot that goes on, and there's different stages of sleep, which I'm going to get into in a minute. But for any normal person that wants to function on a daily basis, sleep is a necessity to repair and restore our body, to get our body functioning correctly. So getting enough sleep, not enough sleep, has some serious side effects, okay? Especially over long periods of time. Sleep deprivation becomes a thing if you've been a parent before, okay? Sleep deprivation is real. And you'll just gradually get worse and worse over time. And people say that period can really knock time off of your life, because sleep is your repair, your growth, your ability to repair each day physically, and having your organs and everything sort of functioning well. Poor sleep can directly tie into like cancer prevention and disease prevention, all this sort of like chronic sort of stuff. Just by not sleeping correctly, right? If you're not repairing, if you're not restoring mentally, physically, you're not going to be in good shape, all right? So some examples: poor mental health, all right? We all know getting a really bad sleep, anxiety levels, depression, all this sort of stuff comes up, right? We don't feel good about ourselves. You can't function well, right? You're going to feel average about yourself. Disrupted metabolic function, okay? You're not going to burn fat as well, okay? If that's something you want to do, you're not going to build muscle well at all. Like sleep and building muscle go hand in hand, right? Your body, your digestion is going to be disrupted, okay? You're going to be bloated, you're going to be IBS, stuff like that. You're going to have a higher chance of injury, okay? Chronic diseases, those sort of things, higher chance of injury if you're not restoring your body, if you're not repairing, and then you're going to go smash it in the gym. You're going to have a real hard time, all right? Increased anxiety levels. Okay, when you get very little sleep, like 5 hours or not even, you feel very on edge, very anxious. Okay, I'm just going to bring myself up here. Disrupted hormone function. Okay, testosterone levels are going to be lower. Okay, estrogen levels are going to be off. All right, dopamine's going to be off. All these sort of things, all these hormones in your body are going to be skew with. Right? Food cravings, blood sugar disruption, all these sort of things tie in with food. You're going to not feel, you're going to feel super hungry. You're going to want sugars because you're lacking energy, so your body's wanting more, right? You're fighting for more. All right, so your blood sugar is going to be all over the place, insulin levels going to be all over the place, lots of different stuff like that. All right, I could just go on. All right, I'm going to go next. All right, so the kind of side effects that of lacking sleep that commonly impact your health will look like. So just to go over what I was talking about before, is looking at like, you see blood sugar disruption, you're going to crave energy dense food. You're going to create sugars, carbs, anything that kind of gives your body so much energy, that's what you're going to be looking for. You're just going to be like, give me, all right? Because any low, there's always a high side, right? And in this case, if your blood sugar's low, you're going to eat bloody anything, all right? Lack of performance, so that's going to impact your exercise, your strength, building muscle, or just general performance in the gym. You're just not going to have that energy backing you because, one, your body hasn't repaired or recovered from the day before, for example. You're going to lack motivation because your mental health isn't the greatest, right? Okay, you're going to have your will to do hard things is going to be so much lower. So you're going to skip training. You're going to go, I don't need to eat. I don't need to go to the gym today. I'm really tired, and you're going to justify that to yourself. You know that going to the gym is going to make you feel better, but your performance is going to be average, right? So it's not like a trade-off, okay? Your brain function is going to be bad, okay? Remember, brain function, so if we go back, did I write it? Yes. So we use it to store memories and integrate learning, okay? So if you have a poor memory, think about your sleep habits, okay? Poor decision-making, poor memory, all that sort of stuff comes into that. Right? Your brain is not going to function well. You know what you're like with very little sleep compared to a good sleep. You feel good, you feel snappy, you feel really on top of things. When you don't, things fall apart, right? And then caffeine requirements, another one, right? You require this energy, okay? You can come into the blood sugar disruption, but that doesn't really come into caffeine. But you overconsume coffee to make up for your lack of sleep. And this is just something that is a big problem in the world, okay? Is this need for like multiple coffees throughout the day, right? That's going to be a big one. All right. The shorter you sleep, the shorter your lifespan. This is just facts. All right. You're going to not, every time you kind of not sleeping, especially, not sleeping, for like 5 hours a night consistently, right? You're going to feel like garbage. Your health is going to reflect that as well. So you're then in turn going to knock years off your lifespan. This is a fact. All right. So getting these sleeps is going to be so important for you to be able to manage your health, okay, and keep all your other health markers in check, right? Because sleep goes into everything. All right. I really like this graph. All right. It's really, really interesting. Okay. So this is a little graph taken from Why We Sleep. Okay. Really good book. So talking about sleep loss and obesity, right? So if we look at what I said at the start, right? Lots changed in the last 100 years, okay? If we go back to the early 1900s, okay? Yes, there's war. Yes, there's stuff like that. What people did at night, people go to bed when it's like, just when it's dark, right? There's nothing else to do, okay? Even if you think about like, let's just go right back and just think cavemen, right? People go to bed when it's dark, they'll wake up when the sun comes up. That's your circadian rhythm, right? With how digital everything is and how technology's changed, it's also changed our lifestyle. It's changed how we live. It's changed what we do at night. We can stay up and just do stuff throughout every night. There's always things we can do, right? So we're more and more taking away from our sleep hours to do all these other things, okay? Now, because of that, we've gone from sleeping a lot, like in this case, more closer to the 9-hour mark. And as the years have gone on, as technology's kind of come through, our sleep duration, our average sleep duration, has gone right down, right? Where the point of, 7 hours is enough because I run this business and I've got kids and like trying to fit in all my life stuff and all these sort of things. But the correlation, the direct correlation to that in obesity as a marker for health has gone through the freaking roof, all right? So this is based in the US, okay, early 2000s, all right? Research was done. 35% of people that are obese, okay? This is just a cool little correlation. I really like this study. Okay, very, very interesting. Okay, your sleep directly impacts your health. Just remember that. So the bottom line is, if you are struggling to get enough sleep, if you aren't getting enough sleep, you will struggle through life. Sorry, I had to make sense of that. You will struggle through life. This is a fact. Okay, you will struggle through life. Everything is going to be a lot harder when you're under lack of sleep. Think about these, right? If you're battling through each day, and it directly means that's directly coming from you not sleeping, you know what you need to fix. It's going to change your life. If you're constantly anxious, if you're constantly feeling very crappy about yourself, if your performance in the gym is crap, if you're constantly skipping the gym, if you're getting sugar cravings, if you keep staying up at night and going, I should really go to bed, you know what you need to do. All right? You will keep struggling through life, and it'll be this uphill battle, and all you're going to do is just knock years off your life. You're just going to keep smashing yourself. All right? We really want to try and move away from that. Okay? We really want to prioritize sleep and have it become the kind of cornerstone of our health, right? The foundation of our health, all right? Because we can't perform all the things that we want to do in our health without our bottom line, our foundation, sleep, being a big part of that, a big prioritization, okay? I like this one, Dov Davidoff. Lack of sleep is only bad if you have to think, talk, and move. And this is just... It's funny, this guy's a comedian, but it's very true, okay? If you have to do anything and you're tired, it's so much harder, okay? Working, so much harder. Dealing with your kids, so much harder, all right? Something to really think about. Trying to focus, trying to get stuff done, trying to have the motivation, trying to perform in the gym, whatever it is. Talk to people, okay? It's sleep. It all comes back to sleep. All right, hours and larks. So there's two types of people in that sleep, biologically. You're going to have people now. I want you to take this with a grain of salt. I was very and ahhing about putting this in because I have a very strong argument, what I think is a strong argument about this. Anyway, so an owl is someone that stays up late, right? Stays up late, goes to bed, wakes up later. A lark is someone that goes to bed earlier and wakes up earlier. You're a typical morning person, early riser. You think they feel good all the time, waking up early. Larks don't necessarily mean that they feel great in the morning. They just make the decision to get up earlier. And I believe, even though that these can be biological, because people use, I'm an owl, so I just wake up late and go to bed. Wake up late and go to bed late. It's more about like ideal function. And you can utilize these you can leverage these to the way that you need to. But I believe anyone can become either one of these. Right, if you're someone that stays up late and wakes up late due to your poor habits, that doesn't make you an owl. It just makes you got poor habits, right? You can mix between these two. Biologically, you can mix between these two. Some people are just better off. And their circadian clock is just better that way, right? Okay? Doesn't mean staying up till 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock every night and getting up at 7 is ideal, because it's not, all right? It's completely against your circadian clock, all right? But an owl, someone that goes to bed later, wakes up later. Brooke is an owl, 110%. All right? She is not a morning person whatsoever. All right? I don't think she'll ever become one. For me, I'm more of a lark, right? And you're going to be different. What do you better optimally function in? If you're not really good at going to bed early and waking up early, but you know when you do, you feel better, maybe you're a lark. Okay? I like to put that in there, just to give people, there is a biological aspect to this, but it's also not an excuse. I'm an owl, so I just have to stay up and watch Netflix and stay on my phone. That's called bullshit. All right, stages of sleep. Alrighty, so sleep is, we're going to get a little bit sciencey because I need you guys to understand what sleep is, because we have to, and this is the thing about this course, I want to get into the nitty gritty of some stuff, but not too crazy that you switch off. All right, so if you're already kind of like, well, this is a lot so far, stop now, have a drink, have a reset, walk around the house, come back, okay, because we're going to get through these next slides to understand the science of sleep. All right, so take a break. If you're back now, let's get stuck in. So, you have 90 minute sleep cycles, right? You have multiple sleep cycles depending on how many days, how many times through the night, right? It could be, between 4 and 6 cycles, okay? So, this is the start of you going to bed, let's say 11 o'clock, and you wake up at 7, right? Your typical 8-hour night. So you're awake, you start going to bed, you drop into non-REM sleep. Okay, non-REM sleep is deep sleep. All right? REM sleep is rapid eye movement sleep. Okay, so it's like the dream state, right? Okay, I'm going to get into what each one does. And then you basically do this roller coaster throughout the night of going through different stages of sleep. So you have a lot of deep, and then you have a bit of REM. Then you have a bit of deep, a bit of REM, right? And your sleeping pattern is going to change throughout the night, okay? As you get closer to the end of waking up, as things get to the time of night, as it's starting to get to the morning, you start having more REM sleep. So you look at the REM changes over time, you get more and more REM sleep. Okay, again, REM sleep is this, mental rejuvenation, okay? The memory collection, learning integration, all this sort of stuff. Imagine taking out all of that REM sleep, right? Cutting that out. Imagine how you'd feel, right? You would not feel mentally rejuvenated, okay? Getting deep is very, very important physically, okay? But REM is just as important emotionally and mentally, all right? So during sleep, you have two types of sleep. I just mentioned non-REM sleep was non-rapid eye movement sleep or deep sleep. You can call it both. And REM, so rapid eye movement sleep, which is like your dream state sleep, right? You ever see people sleeping and their eyes are like twitching, or you see your dog and they're like kind of having this spasm in their sleep. They're dreaming, but that's their REM sleep, right? And a lot of different, and it's really interesting, a lot of different animals have different sort of REM sleep. Like fish, one side of their brain can go into REM and the other side can be awake. Because fish are always awake. And that sounds like they're always swimming, right? But certain animals can switch off half of their brain and sleep on one side and then do the other. So they're constantly on alert for predators. Very, very interesting. Anyway, so non-REM or deep sleep is for the deep sleep for physical restoration and repair. Okay, super, super important. Especially if someone that exercises, this is super, super important. And then your REM is your mental rejuvenation. Supports learning, memory retention, emotional restoration, okay? If you are not getting very good REM sleep, and this is why alcohol is a big killer, I'm not going to get into this now, but alcohol destroys REM sleep, pretty much makes it zero. You can imagine what your mental and emotional state is going to be like. Okay? So you go through 4 to 6 cycles that last about 90 minutes each, okay? And move through different brainwave states, okay? Your brainwaves are going to be different, doing different things at different times, doing different things in the body while you sleep, okay? So you can see how reducing your sleep cycles can cause some massive issues in recovery, especially when the majority of your REM sleep is in the later half of the night. So, like I was telling you before, I'm just going to skip back. If this REM sleep, right, imagine if you're just waking up really early, right, and this is where, like, having kids, babies, can be really hard, right? Because if you're getting waken up broken through this sleep and this becomes really fragmented, even your deep sleep, right? If you're sleeping really lightly, okay, over time, sleep deprivation becomes a real thing. And mentally, you're not going to be feeling really good. And this is just part of life though, right? It's really hard to avoid. Okay, but it's about trying to clean things up to make it better for you and leverage it. So getting rid of some of these, and like imagine getting rid of all these big chunks of deep sleep here, getting rid of some of these, how that would impact you. And then, only having 3 sleep cycles or 4 sleep cycles every night over time, it's going to cause a lot of issues. All right, need some water. So circadian rhythm, right? So your circadian rhythm is like your 24-hour biological clock, okay? So it's a balance between your hormones in your body, so melatonin and cortisol, so stress hormone and sleep hormone, okay? Melatonin is your sleep hormone, cortisol is your stress hormone, your wakeful hormone, okay? This is also impacted by temperature, okay? So the night-day cycle as well, okay? That's obviously influenced by temperature as well. It's something that's basically biological. It's in our body. Every human, we all have this 24-hour biological clock, okay? Where we feel tired at night, and then in the day, we're awake, right? So, different levels of the night. So, obviously, in the morning, you've got accelerating activity. That's when you wake up. You're so awake. It's where cortisol levels are the highest. Not necessarily in a bad way, but cortisol, when you're stressed, if you think about cortisol, right? It's a stress hormone. Fight or flight. When your stress is high, you're alert. You're like, okay? But too much stress, you're like, too alert, where you're like, oh my God, overwhelmed, okay? So you can see down the bottom here, so accelerating activity in the morning, so you're good. And then over time, cortisol drops over the course of the day. So decelerating activity, so later in the day, you're not going to be doing as much work, like you get quite tired, you start to wind down, okay? That's cortisol coming down, and melatonin is starting to rise up. Okay, so you start winding down the PM, and then it's sleep. So then you go into your physical repair, and then your psychological repair of REM sleep. So physical repair is your non-REM sleep, and then psychological repair. And when that sleep starts, that's when melatonin is on that rise and on the steepest part. All right, and then as you go down, melatonin drops. So your sleepiness drops, your drowsiness drops, the melatonin, and cortisol kicks in. All right, and that's what's waking you, is this release of the stress hormone cortisol. All right, this is all influenced by lots of different stuff, lights and temperature and all this sort of stuff. I'm going to get into a sec. Okay, but hopefully that makes sense. Okay, you know, this 24-hour clock constantly going on, feeling awake in the early part of the day, winding down in the later half of the day, and then going to sleep at night when your melatonin is highest. So your circadian clock or circadian rhythm is hardwired 24-hour sleep-wake cycle. We go through each day, which is influenced by our core body temperature, the night-day light cycle, and hormones. All right, so it's all controlled by that. All right. So there's cortisol, melatonin, like I explained before. Okay, cortisol is when it's highest, it's wakefulness. Melatonin, when it's high, is sleepiness. All right, and they both change over the course of the day. Okay, so your melatonin gradually increases over the course of the day, and your cortisol decreases. Okay, so at the start of the day, you're most alert. That's why getting up early is good, because you're awake, you can get shit done, and then you start to wind down. Don't try and do big projects and big things at night, you know, later in the afternoon. You know, I'm recording this at 2 o'clock. I know I can feel myself. I'm starting to wind down now. It's really good like a few hours back, but now I'm starting to wind down. Okay, and it's the same. It's why people start to crash at 3 p.m. at work and like they start slacking off, because they're tired. This is just how your body's wired, you know? And then people go, I'm going to have coffee. And now you start to mess with stuff, all right? So then that melatonin increases over time. That's why you're getting so tired. And then that changes during your sleep. Okay? So, circadian rhythm and hormones. Okay, so we start getting a bit into it. And this is all going to start to make sense towards the end, and I'm going to start giving you guys some real tools to really start to change this. Okay, so I want you to really just tune in, really understand how this works, so you can start to impact the hormones, the temperature, all this sort of stuff. Okay, so cortisol is an alertness hormone, while melatonin is a sleep hormone. Okay, like I said. So cortisol is peaking in the morning to help us wake and become alert. Melatonin is gradually increased over the course of the day, while peaking during the early part of our sleep to get us into that deep sleep. Right, we need lots of melatonin to pull us into that deep. Okay. Circadian rhythm and body temperature. So our core body temperature coincides with cortisol and melatonin relationship. Okay, so if you look here, I'll just go through this. So when our core body temperature drops, this signifies the release of melatonin, which promotes sleep. Okay. So that's why we talk about sleeping in a cool environment, which I'll get into in a minute. When our body temperature rises, this promotes the release of cortisol, which signifies wakefulness. So this is why we're influenced by the sun, right? Because when the sun rises, it gets warmer, right? Always. It's given, right? The sun's going to be warm. Even the slight temperature rise will make us be more awake, right? And it's cooler at night, so it helps our sleep, all right? This is the same reason why, and I've just got it down the bottom there, we struggle so much in summer to sleep, because our body temperature is a lot higher, so it's a lot harder to go into like deeper sleep, all right? When in winter, it's a lot cooler and we can control our temperature a lot more, so our sleep's going to be a lot deeper, a lot longer, a lot better. Okay, it's a lot easier to go to bed. Okay? So if we look over here, your body temperature, your core body temperature is only dropping by like 1 degree, right? So I think I've got this on the next slide. No. So it's only really dropping by 1 degree, okay? To actually signify that temperature, like you're looking over here, to actually get into that sort of sleep state. All right, that's what's bringing on that melatonin, right? Is that core body temperature drop? It doesn't have to be much. Okay, this is why, and I'm going to talk about this in hormones, but this is why people that are going through menopause, they get hot flushes. Okay, women go through menopause, they get these hot flushes. It disrupts their sleep massively because their core body temperature is going up and down. It's the same during the menstrual cycle as well. Different periods where you're going to be up and down, your sleep's going to be disrupted because your core body temperature is higher. Okay, so these sort of things are all going to influence your sleep. All right, does a lot. Okay, integration. There's a lot of stuff there. I know it's a bit sciencey, but I try to simplify as much as I could. All right. If you need to take a little break, go for it now. Have a bit of a drink, a toilet break, reset. We're going to come back. If you're back now, let's get stuck in. So, quote, I think many people walk through their lives in an underslept state, not realizing it. It's because of this new natural baseline. It's become this new natural baseline. For people to be sleep deprived, for people to be always tired, and people say, oh, I'm so tired, I didn't get enough sleep last night. We kind of just get along through life and we go through each day being tired and just being like, cool, it's just another day. I'm just going to grind through today being tired. Like I said at the start, if you aren't getting enough sleep, you will struggle through life. There is no doubt. Okay? You will struggle through life. And no one wants to just struggle through. We want to get through nice. We want it to be reasonably easy, right? We don't want to struggle. We don't want to have this uphill battle against doing all our things, like all our commitments and responsibilities, all under this underslept state. All right? And you don't know how underslept you are until you start getting good sleep. All right? And this is one thing that we're going to really go through this week is like, what does that feel like, getting a good sleep? Like, if you really think about it for a second, if you're someone that struggles with sleep, right? And then this one time you're really tired, right? And you just like, I'm going to bed at 7:30. I just don't care. I'm going to bed. I'm so exhausted. I'm going to sleep for 9 hours. And you have this awesome sleep. And you wake up the next day and you're like on. You're like, oh my God, I had such a good sleep. I had such a good rest. I prioritized going to bed early. I feel like I can do anything today. We've all been there. That's how you should feel every day. You shouldn't feel like this zombie walking around, you keep forgetting things, and you make really bad decisions, and you're trying to look for all these pick-me-ups to get you through. That's not how life should be. All right? And sleep is a big controller of that. I like this one. So this is a little... there's actually a couple of iterations of this study. So they drugged spiders with different drugs and had a bit of a look of like what happens to the spider, like how they construct a web every night based on the drugs that they give you, right? And I'm an advocate for caffeine. I think caffeine is a great performance enhancer, but I think the abuse of caffeine is really bad. And for me personally, I've been a caffeine abuser, all right? When I was a chef for 6 years, okay? And at one point, for a couple of years, I was drinking like 10 to 12 coffees a day. You know, you'd be constantly double shots every hour, you know, just non-stop, all right? My sleep was crap. I was drinking a lot of alcohol. Like, there was lots of contributing factors, but I was all over the place. And I was using caffeine as like this way to like just keep me constantly up. But, you know, after like the sixth coffee, I'm down here, right? So I think caffeine's great, but the abuse of caffeine is not good. But this is just a cool little thing. I thought this was really interesting. You know, you got your normal spiderweb, LSD, marijuana, speed, and caffeine is just like zero structure, poor decision making, you know, just what is going on. All right? Anyway, let's move on. All right, so now we're going to start getting into some real big game changers, and you really start to understand the gravity of some of this stuff and to go, fuck, I'm doing that. Oh, I'm doing that too. Oh, I'm doing that. And how you can change it. And that's what we're going to go through in our worksheet, okay? We're going to start to build it into these and start to change your sleep one thing at a time, right? And I think this is going to be a massive contributor to how you feel, all right? So, adenosine. This is something that I didn't really talk about too much. So, adenosine, it builds up over the course of the day to make you feel tired. So if we just go back. So, over the course of the day, right, adenosine, which is another hormone, builds up. It's that wanting, it's the feeling of wanting to go to bed. So, you know, when you get closer and closer as you get to the PM and you get more and more tired, that's adenosine. That's a feeling of adenosine in your body going, I just want to go to bed, I'm so tired. Until it gets to if you've ever been so tired that you just need to lay down and you could fall asleep like that. Okay, that's when adenosine is kind of at its peak. All right? So adenosine builds up over the course of the day, making you feel more and more tired. Caffeine blocks adenosine. All right? It blocks it. So too sciencey, jumps onto the receptors, blocks that receptor from releasing adenosine or showing up in your body, okay, to keep you more alert, all right, to stop that feeling of that tiredness coming up, right? So it blocks that. That's what keeps you alert. So then when caffeine wears off, you get this hit of adenosine, which is making you go, oh, I'm really tired. Oh my God, caffeine's worn off. I need more caffeine, right? So adenosine is an important one to think about, okay? That's why we have our caffeine, all right? Because especially the later half of the day, we start getting a bit tired. We start getting a bit more not alert. We want that melatonin's coming up. We're getting a little bit tired. Oh, caffeine will fix everything, all right? So fun facts about caffeine. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 7 hours. So a half-life is the time it takes for 50% of the concentration of a particular substance to leave the body. 50% of the body. Okay, it's 50% of the concentration. Just think about that for a second. Okay? So 5 to 7 hours. So let's think about this, all right? You have coffee at 3 o'clock, let's say, 3 p.m. at night, all right? When you try to go to bed at 9 o'clock or even 10 o'clock, that caffeine's still very much in your body. All right, you're still feeling the effects. You might not be tired, but you're still feeling that wanting to go to sleep, and that ability to go to sleep is going to be massively inhibited. All right, and caffeine is a direct contributor to the lack of deep sleep. You're going to be very light sleep because of the caffeine, okay? Raise cortisol, that sort of thing. So it takes 50% of the concentration. It's still in your bloodstream. Like people go, oh, my coffee's worn off. No, it's still in your blood. Still very much around your body. Okay, it's a very potent substance, especially having a lot of it. The more you have, the more that it's going to be in your body, the more milligrams. I believe the recommended dosage amount for every day is 200 max for people. People are having way up on that. The average coffee, I think, is 80 milligrams. All right, you start having doubles, energy drinks, pre-workouts, all that sort of stuff is all going to contribute to that. So this is why we get so impacted by caffeine, right? So if you're having a 6 o'clock coffee, even if you're having a 6 o'clock black tea or a green tea, because green tea, black tea, all this sort of stuff still has caffeine in it, it's going to impact your sleep dramatically. That's not going to really wear off until, if you're having it at 6, it's not wearing off until like 12 or 1 a.m., all right? And then we wonder why we can't sleep properly. This caffeine doesn't affect me. Okay, it might not affect you, right? It might not feel like you're buzzing, but it's destroying your deep sleep, your restorative physical sleep. So, very interesting to know there. So, if caffeine is still in the body when you go to bed, you will impact sleep, right? So, when caffeine wears off, I mentioned this above, you are hit with this adenosine buildup, causing the caffeine crash, right? So, if you just keep smashing coffees, and we do this when we're trying to get maybe you got a uni assignment done or a big project or work project, and you stay up and you just coffee up. When the caffeine wears off, you're hit with the adenosine crash, all right? And this can be as simple as having 2 morning coffees, and then you get to 3 o'clock, and you get the 3 o'clock crash, and that adenosine build up over time has just really hit you, and you go, holy moly, I'm buggered. I need an energy pick-me-up. All right? So it's really being aware of that. Okay, and the least amount of coffee you have, the less that crash is going to be. Okay? Last one here. So, and this is something that people don't understand. And honestly, this is something that I've only learned recently. Decaf is 15 to 30% of your average coffee dosage. Now, a lot of places will say that it's only 2%. The science behind it is most is 15 to 30%. All right? So, it's still a fair amount of coffee. If you're having double shot coffee, right, 15 to 30% of that is still a lot. Okay, your average coffee dose. You're still having, 20 milligrams of coffee going into your body, caffeine going into your body. So it's going to have an impact. People go, oh, decaf, it's got no coffee in it. I used to think that it was caffeine free. Turns out that is bullshit. And turns out it's still got coffee. It's decaffeinated, less caffeine in it, not completely no caffeine, right? So that's important to know. If you're someone that has decaf coffees late at night, late in the afternoon, to try and get you through that bottom part of where we are in our day, right? This 3 p.m. onward mark, where we start to get a bit tired, and that melatonin starts to come, and that early morning coffee, so the morning or lunchtime coffees are starting to wear off, it will impact you, all right? The decaf will impact you, all right? And just remember, caffeine is still in lots of other stuff. All right, it's in our pre-workouts. It's in our, if you do take that, green teas. All right, even the other day, I was doing this course actually, and I wasn't thinking because I was very tired, and I was like, oh, I'm going to make a green tea. Now I know green tea's got caffeine in it, and I just didn't even think about it. My brain was not functioning correctly. And then I had the worst possible sleep. I was so awake until like 3 a.m., like in and out, super light sleep. And the next day I was like, I had a fucking green tea. What was I thinking, right? Makes a big difference. Anyway, let's move on. Alcohol and sleep. So yeah, just going back to that, caffeine stuff, maybe just write down, like, where are you having your caffeine? Like, is this becoming a problem? Like, what are you doing? Me going through some of that stuff, you probably would have gone, shit, okay, yep, I'm doing some of this stuff. Alcohol, sleep killer. Alcohol is a REM suppressor. So it's a rapid eye movement sleep, the dream state, the mental repair, the mental restoration, the learning, the memory. Alcohol is a REM suppressor, all right? So even though alcohol helps you to relax, it suppresses the quality sleep, right? It'll stop you from having REM sleep, all right? Now, in my experience, and this has just been really interesting, blew my mind, ever since I got my watch, all right? Now, I've had watches and stuff on and off. This automatically switches on. Most watches will automatically track your sleep now, okay? It will detect the heart rate drop. It'll detect your non-movement, all that sort of thing, all right? So you can actually track your REM sleep, and it will track your different brainwave states, your non-REM sleep, deep sleep, light sleep, how often you're awake, and you can see it, right? You go onto your phone, whatever, right? Give you a sleep score. I like to track, and I think it's an important thing to track, because it'll give you an idea of, what did I do wrong yesterday? Why is my sleep so shit? And then you'll be able to look, all right? Go back to that. Now, what my experience with the watch, anyway, sidetrack, what I was trying to get to, is if I drink more than a few drinks, my watch won't even detect sleep. So in the morning, when I wake up, right, after a sleep, it'll go into like this sleep mode where you unlock it and you can look at your sleep score and how your sleep went and give you some data, right? And you won't be able to access the rest of your watch until you clear it, right? Now, some mornings, the first time was at the start of the year, after my 30th, it did not even register that I slept. I didn't even get into any of those states. It just was like, cool, you're just continuing on this part of the day. There was no registration of sleep. Zero. Which blew my freaking brain, and I realized how bad alcohol is. I started digging into it. Like, I knew alcohol was bad, but I didn't realize like how much of an influence it was. Like, just generally in health, it's not good. But in sleep, it's crazy bad, okay? So a fragment sleep, which means you aren't getting continuous REM sleep. Oh my God, go back. So, you aren't getting continuous REM sleep. That is a mistake. Okay, that is a mistake. All right? It impacts deep sleep, but it will stop REM sleep altogether. Okay? It will cause you to be lighter, but it won't destroy REM sleep like it's a sleep suppressor up there. So, I confused myself with writing that. Okay, so it will fragment continuous deep sleep, but it will suppress REM sleep, okay? So even in small amounts, alcohol will affect your sleep, okay? So even like a wine or two, it will suppress. The more you have, the more it's going to suppress your REM sleep, okay? If you've got a watch that can track it, highly recommend, okay? Just trying it out. Don't just go drink alcohol and try it out, but next time you drink, you'll notice, right? Your sleep will be so light, okay? So even small amounts will affect it, okay? Big drinking, is this going to negate your sleep? That's why half the reason you feel hungover is because your sleep has been zero. If you just didn't sleep and you just continue through the day, you would feel very similar than being hungover, all right? Heavy consumption of alcohol will affect breathing at night also, all right? So this is one thing to keep in mind. Okay, alcohol is just not good for you generally, and if I say that, of course, alcohol is, great in terms of having in small dosages and enjoying it with friends, okay? I'm not going to say don't drink, but just be very aware that if you're having multiple drinks a week, it's going to have really great influences on you and your sleep, okay? Let's move on. Lighting and sleep. So, big one here. So, your body doesn't know the difference between sunlight and artificial light, okay? So, the light waves, the light waves that you get from the sun, bright lights, white lights, blue lights, all that sort of thing, is the same effect, okay? So when we get that sort of light in our eyes, it raises cortisol levels because when the sun rises, oops, I've gone too far. When the sun rises, right, that wakefulness, right? We get light in our eyes, that's signifying cortisol rise, wakefulness, When it's dark outside, that's melatonin, right? It's like, cool, it's dark. We're winding down now. This much your brain, okay, must mean it's time to go to sleep, right? Night, day, okay? Nights for sleeping, days for being awake, unless you're a shift worker. And you have to push yourself past that. Oops, shit. So your body doesn't know the difference between each one. Yes, there's photons in sunlight, a little bit different, but, and vitamin D, you're not going to get vitamin D from white light, a little bit different, but the light waves are very similar, okay? And it's going to raise your cortisol levels based on that, okay? So when you sit here on your phone in bed, like this, looking at your phone, that blue light, that white light, or you've got lights on in the house until right before you go to bed, or you're watching TV, it's raising cortisol levels in your body. So it's telling your body, wake up, I'm awake, I'm alert, it's daytime. Okay? Your body doesn't know the difference between that one, but then each one. All right? So it lowers melatonin levels, so the blue, white, yellow, okay, all those sort of lights, lowers melatonin levels and raises cortisol levels, keeping you more awake. This is why this at night is the biggest killer. Being on your phone, especially looking at like scrolling and looking at videos, dopamine, like all this sort of stuff, is going to massively impact your sleep. Because if you just keep looking at your phone, bright light, then you put it down and try and go to sleep, it's the same as like watching TV. All that stimulus, all that visual stimulus, is going to keep you awake. All right, so it's super important to ditch that. We'll talk about this later. But that blue those light waves in your eyes is going to keep you awake. It's going to raise the stress levels in your body. All right. So complete darkness when you're trying to sleep is crucial to quality sleeps. Okay, if you want that melatonin nice and high, nice and dark is good. You know, if you sleep with side lights on, turn into a red light, which I'm going to talk about in a sec. Red light does not negatively impact sleep, but in fact improves sleep and melatonin levels. So your body, your eyes, the way that it reacts to red light, it doesn't raise cortisol levels in your body. Okay? Red light waves will, acts like, let's just say in very simple terms, like you're in darkness. All right? It's not going to impact having those light waves in your eyes is not going to impact your cortisol levels. It's not going to raise them. Okay? So it's like a safer light to have around you. Right? This is why I said, if you've ever seen people wear the like red glasses and just like having lots of red light around them, this is why. Okay, so what I've got here is it actually improves your sleep and melatonin levels. It help raise melatonin levels like you're sleeping at night. Right? So one of the best things you can do, and we're going to go through this in our workbook, is if you've got a side light, okay. Make it a red light. Like get a red globe. You can get lights that change color. Like I've got a few of them. Or get like a salt lamp. They've got like the red lights in them. Okay. Anything that's like red, okay, is going to really help you stay more asleep. Or it's going to help you wind down better. For people that have got a big bright white side light and they've got that on, man, it's going to be so much harder for you to go to sleep every night. Right? You should be able to, instead of laying in bed for an hour, waiting for your body to, because that's your body trying to wind down, the melatonin levels trying to wind down. If you've just been watching TV or you've got this bright white light there, reading your book, and then you try and go to sleep, of course it's going to take you an hour to go to sleep, 2 hours to go to sleep, because your body cortisol levels are still so high, right? You need time for that melatonin to slowly come up and you to be able to go to sleep, all right? So having a red light by your bedside will change your life, okay? So get a globe, change your light over, do it throughout your entire house if you can. Okay, like for me, after about 8 o'clock, all the lights in the house pretty much go off and all the salt lamps go on and the red lights will go on. My lava lamp in my room, which is the red light, that stays on. I can fall asleep. I can never fall asleep with any other light. Ever since putting red lights in, this is, last year, you can just sleep so much better, right? Yeah, it's a lot easier to go to bed. A lot easier to wind down and go straight to sleep, okay? On the flip side of that, waking up, okay, so not just going to sleep, but getting sunlight in your eyes for 5 to 20 minutes upon waking, so straight away after you wake up, will help better regulate your rhythm, your circadian rhythm, to help you sleep and wake. Okay? So this is a really, really big one to help just like cement your circadian rhythm, right? Because then if your body knows that, okay, get up in the morning, sunlight straight in your eyes, get those photons and all that sort of stuff in your eyes, and then at night, you go, cool, complete darkness. That is melatonin levels rise. And then your body will get more connected with that raise of melatonin and lowering of cortisol more effectively, which is going to help you sleep better. All right, so it's really important to keep that in mind. All right, so if you can, all right, sometimes it is hard. Go outside, get some sunlight in your eyes, on your skin. First thing in the morning is going to be really, really good if you can do that. If you wake up, if you're like me, you wake up and the sun's still down and you go to work, artificial light is better than nothing. It's still going to kind of signify that, but getting the photons and stuff from the sun in your eyes is going to be so much better. Anyway, let's move on. I need a drink. All right, phones and sleep. So, again, this sleep disruptor killer. So, scrolling dopamine-rich content before bed will keep you more alert and disrupt sleep. All right, so you scrolling your reels, looking at YouTube, whatever it is, right? Remember, like that sort of stimulus in your mind, dopamine, so that feel-good hormone, that like excitement hormone, that's gonna raise the cortisol levels. It's gonna keep you hyped up. It's gonna be way harder for you to switch off, right? So it's gonna disrupt your sleep massively. All right. So try not going for your phone. You know, and this is why really exciting books can be detrimental as well, because it's like that. Oh, they're really exciting. Oh, alert, and then you try to go to sleep. You can't make that switch. All right. So avoid screens. So the blue light, okay, for at least an hour before you go to bed. Okay, to allow melatonin levels to naturally rise. Okay, you need that time. If you try and go straight from TV straight to bed, like if you have a TV in your room, and we're going to talk about this later, get it out. Because if you go straight from sleep, straight from watching TV, blue light, bright light, excitement, dopamine, to then try to switch off, it's going to take you hours to go to sleep. All right, your cortisol levels are still very high, and your melatonin is trying to fight to come through. Screens will raise cortisol levels. Okay, talking about that a lot. Okay, that light will raise cortisol levels. Sleep mode. So on your phone, having sleep and do not disturb modes are a game changer. So you can set in your phone, you can go into your phone, your iPhone, there's a setting on Android, I believe. You go into your phone, you can go into the sleep mode, and you can set it up so your phone goes into do not disturb automatically at a certain time. So for me, my phone, sleep mode enables at 8 o'clock every single night to give me the hour to wind down. So not on my phone. Okay, you can still unlock it and do that sort of thing, but the lighting changes to more of a warmer color. Okay, it's still going to affect you if you're still on your phone. It's not going to just solve all your problems. So it goes into a warmer color instead of bright blue lighting. And then you don't get notifications, and you can choose actually who you get notified by. So if you're worried about, people, emergency calls and that sort of thing, you can have people that still notifies you, but the phone won't vibrate. It won't light up, nothing, unless it's someone you allow through. And it's a great tool to just stop having your phone at night, all right? Because you go, cool, 8 o'clock onwards, no phones, no computers, no anything like that. And then you'll find that within that hour, you'll be able to wind down massively. And if you just don't touch any screens for an hour, and you just have those, so let's say, in an ideal world, you have those red lights, you're dimming the lights down, you'll notice a massive difference in how quickly you're able to go to sleep. Because the melatonin levels are already, sky high, okay? So if you use your phone for work or business, something like I do, this can create stress, just general stress, right? Cortisol rise before bed, and this is going to keep you alert. And people go, I was laying in bed, I was stressed, I was thinking about this. Don't do work before bed. Don't look at a message from a client before you go to bed. Don't look at this project that you have to do tomorrow or this meeting thing that's due tomorrow before you go to bed, because you're going to be thinking about that because your cortisol levels are already going to be high. Switch off. Switch off from it. Yes, if there's something going on that you need to address right now, do it before, right? But you should have done it earlier in the day. Remember, eat that frog. If there's something that you need to do that's occupying your mind, do it. Get it done earlier, because if you're thinking about it in bed and you should have addressed it in the day, what are you doing, bro? All right? Temperature and sleep. We're almost there, guys. All right. Higher body sleep temperature usually means more of a wakeful state. All right, so remember, like I was talking about the summer, like the raise in body temperature is the raise in cortisol. Okay, so you're more awake. The lower temperature in the body is very slight. Okay, but you're in a cooler environment. Raising melatonin, right? Better sleep quality, right? You're going to be better into deeper sleep. You're going to have more sustained sleep. I can't bloody talk. So your core body temperature fluctuates in our circadian rhythm. Okay, I talked about that. Core body temperature must drop around 1 degree Celsius to initiate sleep. All right, again, so why, if we're really hot, obviously hormones impact this, and, temperature outside is going to impact it. But you need to drop the core body temperature to initiate sleep. So I feel fans are such a great thing to use, okay, because you get that cool, and even in winter, you get a really consistent airflow, and you can use the reverse function to just get a really consistent temperature in your room. Sleeping in a cool environment is key to quick sleep quality. 18 degrees Celsius is ideal. Quite cool, yeah? If you put your aircon on 18, or 18 degrees, that's pretty reasonably cool, right? Okay, so if you can try and cool your room down, if you can try and be in a cool environment, okay, it's going to be a big one. So I just said down the bottom, hormone fluctuations, the menstrual cycle, and menopause can also affect sleep. I talked about that. Other facts about sleep. We've got like 2 more slides. So other facts about sleep. Like I said, it's going to be a bigger one, this one. Okay, we've got a bit to get through. So stressful alarm tones can actually create a fight or flight stimulus in the body. So if you fight or flight stimulus raises blood pressure, heart rate, fight or flight's like you're ready to go. You're ready to like fight off a predator, right? It's not that jump. Like when you say you sleep through your alarm and you realize and you wake up and you freak out, that's fight or flight. That instant, like your heart rate just gets jacked up, or something scares you, that's fight or flight, okay? That is not really that great for you. It's a survival instinct, right? It's a thing in your body that's for survival, right? If you have this stressful, like people, I don't understand it personally, right? But if you're one of those people that have alarm tones, right? That like as soon as it goes off, it's like, fuck, what is that? Every time you do that and then hitting snooze again, multiple times over, you're just like jacking your heart rate up. Bang, 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 bang. Who wants to wake up in a fight or flight state every single day? Not me. So having alarm tones that are really nice, iPhones have one. I've got one that's like birds slowly, gradually start, what is even the word? Singing. Gradually over time, so it builds up. Okay, so you're not having this like crazy alarm tone that gives you PTSD every time you hear it. You want to have something that gradually builds up, that's like slowly wakes you up. The vibrate slowly increases, you gradually, so then instead of waking up jolting, you're slowly coming out. You might even hear it in your dream. Like sometimes I just hear it in my dream, and then I slowly come out of it. And it's not like this jacked up. I wake up quite calm, and I wake up quite like, cool, it's time to get up. All right, I should get up now. It's not like, holy shit, what's happening? Alarm, we're getting bombed. Like, you can see the difference, right? So have a look in your phone, and this is in your workbook. I'll get into this, but you can change your alarm tone. Eating raises blood sugar and insulin, insulin response, and levels of blood sugar, which can disrupt your sleep. So eating your last meals within 3 hours prior to sleep is ideal. So outside of 3 hours, sorry. So if you're eating and then going straight to bed, your body's still digesting that food, that's going to impact your sleep. There's a lot of still bodily functions that are still happening while you sleep, but your body's in full digestion mode while you're trying to sleep. Not ideal, okay? So make sure that you don't eat within 3 hours of going to bed. It'll make a massive difference, okay? It's not going to help you it's not going to make you put on more weight. It's not just going to like store there and turn to fat or anything like that. It's just going to disrupt your sleep. And the sleep is the thing that's going to cause you to retain more fat, right? People go, if you eat too close to bed, it's going to store as fat. It's absolute crap. What you can do, a little bonus tip here, is if you really need to, like if you go to bed a lot early and you want to eat when you come home from work or whatever, if that's what your schedule's like, pre-digestion meals are really good. So like having a smoothie, okay, not having something that's really hard to break down, like having a steak right before, very slow digestion, very hard to break down. Something like a smoothie is going to be really good because it's already broken up, right? You've done all the digesting is pretty much in breaking it up in the in the NutriBullet, whatever. Melatonin supplements, okay, not a huge fan, all right? So I've just written here, melatonin supplements will help you shift your circadian clock, okay, yes they will, all right, but in an artificial way, which will disrupt your natural cycle, okay? So yes, they can be good for some people. I am not a doctor and I'm not going to give you this advice, All right, I'm not going to say you should get it, right? But what I will say is focus on behavioural changes first before looking into supplementing melatonin. People go, I'm having shit sleep, so I'm going to have melatonin. You're having shit sleep because you're doing all of these things, right? That's why you're having shit sleep, okay? Melatonin supplements is going to solve all your habit problems, right? I've spoken to people that go, I've got melatonin, but it does nothing to me. It's because you're staying up watching TV till like the last minute you go into bed. It's because you're smashing like 10 coffees a day. Your last coffee is at 6 o'clock. Right? So behavioural changes first and you will find that will fix all of your problems. Okay? Most of your problems. Keep bedroom for sleep and intimacy only. And we're going to talk about this in a later chapter, but don't bring any other disruptors in. Right? Don't bring a TV into your room. Don't bring all this stressful stuff. Don't start doing work in your room and all this stuff. Keep it sleep and intimacy only. It should be the room that you go to that's clean and clear, that you feel very relaxed and calm in, that you can go into and crash for sleep only. All right? Now that you know all these things, where do you think you're going wrong with your sleep? So I know this is a lot to take in, all right? But if you just go back through these like 5 slides, right, that's going to tell you everything you need, all right? Where do you think you're going wrong with your sleep? What is your number one habit that is currently disrupting your sleep the most and causing the most havoc? You can pause, write it down now, write the notes. If it's something, while we're talking about all the sleep stuff that you are like, yeah, that 6 o'clock coffee, that's doing it for me for sure. Okay, I'm scrolling Instagram until the later hours. Whatever it is, write it down now.